Chris Zachman, my fiancé who had not shown up for an entire week, finally called. However, he started questioning me as soon as I picked up the call. Clarissa Zander, what's wrong with you? Our families have already decided on the venue and date of our wedding. How can you just call it off? I was about to speak when he cut me off and continued to vent. How many times have I told you that Ruth's health is poor? Even a cold could easily escalate to something serious. I need to be by her side to ensure her safety at all times. Why do you get jealous so easily? You don't value her life at all. Such is life. I could not help but smile bitterly. Last night, I went out to make wedding arrangements alone. On my way home, I was run over by a speeding truck. I tried calling Chris before I passed out, but all I could hear was the call going to voicemail. He rejected my call twice. It was not until I nearly lost consciousness that a message alert popped up on my bloodied phone screen. I could tell he was impatient from his choice of words. What is it? Cut to the chase. After realizing I had not replied to him instantly, he soon sent me another message. What's wrong with you? Why must you call me while I'm trying to console Ruth? Don't you know Ruth might hurt herself when she's emotionally unstable? Even after I woke up, Chris was still ranting and berating me. Melissa suddenly entered the ward and snatched my phone away. Chris, are you out of your mind? Clarissa was involved in a traffic accident last night. She was run over by a truck twice. If we hadn't brought her to the hospital in time, she would have died. Can't you tell what's more important between a cold and a traffic accident? Melissa asked. Chris snorted after hearing what she said. You're lying to a trained doctor. Melissa, you really have overestimated your intelligence. With that, he simply hung up the phone. Melissa heard the signal over the phone. She clutched the phone hard. Before I could say something to console her, her phone started ringing almost instantly. It was a call from Melissa's fiancé, who also happened to be Chris's childhood friend, Caleb Foster. Melissa, what are you two up to? Do you realize that Ruth was so irritated by how you and Clarissa acted out of jealousy that she almost had a seizure? Can you imagine what would have happened to Ruth if Chris and I weren't here? Does her life not matter to you at all? The Fosters will never welcome a vicious woman like you into the family. I don't care if you want to call this wedding off. Melissa was so upset that she nearly cursed out loud. However, she realized Caleb had already blocked her. Screw his entire family. I struggled to grab her hand. Don't get mad, Melissa. They're not worth it. Melissa looked at the electronic devices attached to my body. Her eyes filled with tears. Clarissa, are you still in pain? I smiled and shook my head. I no longer felt any pain. I felt all the pain I could possibly handle when Chris hung up on me. Melissa randomly put on a variety show to lighten the mood. We both watched and commented on it. This guy looks awful. His face resembles a monkey. He definitely seems like a comedy actor. This part is so fake. It feels scripted. However, we soon stopped laughing. Caleb, who was a famous celebrity in the entertainment industry, appeared on screen. Melissa's facial expression turned gloomy. She complained about her bad luck and wanted to change the channel. However, Caleb's voice stopped her from doing so. It was now the melodramatic moment often found in variety shows. Caleb looked passionately into the camera. The thing I regret the most is not having confessed to the girl I liked many years ago. People around him were asking him questions. Melissa clenched her fists tightly. I patted her arm soothingly. However, I felt sorry for her on the inside. Although Caleb and Melissa were engaged, they had never gone public with their engagement. Caleb had said doing so would affect his popularity and disrupt his work. This was despite how entering the entertainment industry was only a pastime for Caleb due to how affluent his family was. Whenever Melissa said too much, Caleb would get furious and criticize her for not being understanding and not cooperating with him over his work. He failed to see how Melissa worked tirelessly to quash negative media against him or how she helped to publicize his new dramas whenever they were broadcasted. Melissa once said that she knew it was his dream to enter the entertainment industry. That was why she willingly did all she could to help him get to the top. However, in Caleb's eyes, everything she did was a way for her to keep him. It all came from a place of jealousy. Caleb had always believed that the only people who understood him were Chris and their mutual childhood friend, Ruth Surrey. Melissa forced a smile upon her face when she saw the worried look in my eyes. It's fine, Clarissa. We've already decided to back out of our weddings, haven't we? We'll just notify their parents later on. Once this thing is over, we'll be free. I nodded with tears in my eyes. To my surprise, I received a call from Chris that night. He sounded unhappy over the call. Clarissa, why are you being so unreasonable? Ruth had a cold. I was there to help her get better. Did you have to think the worst about everything? You actually decided not to attend the scheduled banquet because of something so minor. Both our parents are waiting for you alone. Clarissa, be smart about this. Don't make me go to you. Usually, I would feel gloomy after being reprimanded by Chris in such a cold manner. However, I was able to respond indifferently to his fierce accusations. Chris, since I've decided to call off the wedding, there's no point in attending this banquet, is there? The phrase call off the wedding enraged Chris once again. He began yelling angrily. Do you know what you sound like right now? You sound like a crazy woman who's making decisions based on her emotions. Why have I never noticed that you're actually so unreasonable? I've already taken the initiative to call you. Is it so hard to take a step back? Everyone's waiting for you here. How much longer do you want to embarrass us? You have to come today. Tell me where you are. I'll pick you up right now. I looked at the quilt that had the hospital's name on it. Suddenly, I felt extremely tired. I'm at Agon Hospital. You can pick me up here, I said. After 2 seconds of silence, I could hear him sneering. Clarissa, you're lying through your teeth just so you can get me to treat you better. Was that why you said something like that? Chris asked. I closed my eyes and let out a bitter chuckle. I knew full well that it would end up like this. I also knew full well that no matter how badly I suffered, Ruth would always be more important to him. Despite knowing all this, I was still a little delusional. Suddenly, I sensed a wave of nausea down my throat. I leaned over the edge of the bed and started vomiting. Chris was oblivious to this. He continued to speak with a tone of superiority. If you want to throw a tantrum, do it on your own. Don't drag Caleb's girlfriend into this. They agreed to meet their parents to discuss and decide on their wedding date. Now, she's nowhere to be found. Just because you can't manage your own romantic relationship, you decide to bring others down. You even used your own life as an excuse. Don't you think you've gone too far? If I let you have your way this time, what will you ask for next? Will you deliberately hurt yourself to force me to do something? Regardless of what happened, Chris would have a preconceived notion that I orchestrated everything to take advantage of his worthless sympathy. At a party last year, Ruth had given me food I was allergic to. I immediately ran a high fever that nearly cost me my life. Even then, Chris merely looked at me in a cold, condescending manner. Clarissa, the way you lie to people just sickens me to the core. Didn't you just want to marry into my family? You've already tricked my parents into agreeing to our marriage. Why are you still pretending? To Chris, I was a vicious woman who repeatedly used self-harming means to ruin his relationship with Ruth. In the past, I would desperately try to explain myself whenever he said something like that. But now, I felt so tired that I could not even be bothered to say anything in my own defense. Chris, I want to call off the wedding. Once I get better, I'll personally explain everything to your parents. I won't attend the party today, I said calmly before hanging up. To my surprise, Chris actually came. He immediately frowned when he saw me lying on the hospital bed. Before he could say anything, Ruth walked in. She took Chris's arm out of habit and leaned against him. Ruth gave me a look that conveyed she was in control. However, she forced an expression of sympathy on her face. What happened? How did Clarissa end up like this? I'm sorry, Clarissa. I really was not feeling well the other day. That's why Chris went to see me. Don't be mad at him. Both your parents are waiting for you at the hotel. You're putting him in a difficult spot by doing this. Before she could finish delivering her pretentious speech, Chris cut her off. He looked at her as if he felt deeply sorry for her. Ruth, you don't have to say all this to her. Clarissa, you've gone too far. Do you think I'll give in just because you're putting on a show? You have to apologize to Ruth and our parents right away. This is the last chance I'm giving you. If you refuse, you'll never get to become part of the Zachmans, he yelled. I snorted. Chris, it's over between us. Please get out of my ward with your girlfriend. Chris was visibly annoyed by how I mentioned his beloved Ruth. He lifted his hand and slapped me hard across the face.